bearded guys seem to lie.
There are rumors galore.
I am so up and down on my emotions right now.
Retain salary.
Okay. Where there is smoke, there is always fire, etc., etc., etc.
You don't do it.
Been there, done that.
And we'll get into it later.
They know crap about hockey.
Come on. Well, I laugh it off.
I have no issue.
Here's the thing, though. I have nothing.
I'm okay with this deal.
There was no other option.
So now you have nothing.
We already blew it.
Win now, win now.
It paid off.
I will eat my pants.
Hey guys, it's Two Guys on Hockey Talks. I'm Pavel the Cat and
Revan Evan Reynolds at ya. Pavel, first thing up, did you get any pictures on your Instagram of a cat this week?
I of course did. My cat was doing really cute things with the pumpkin because it's Halloween is coming up, but the other one was not so keen about it, and she growled at us. So she's a little bit upset with us and maybe a little traumatized. So I have to use her training at work to trauma-informed care to make sure that she feels safe.
So if you want to follow cats, follow Pavel on Instagram at Color Avenue, or if you want to get tweets about hockey, follow at Revan Ev.
I have nothing to do with hockey. So, Evan, we have a jam-packed show tonight with a special guest, but I got my bevy. Do you have your bevy?
No, I forgot it tonight. I'll go grab it. Oh, actually, it's right here. Let's do it.
There it is. Okay, so first off, happy Thanksgiving to all those in Canada, and happy Columbus Day to all those in the States, and happy whatever else you're celebrating all around the world. It's been a crazy, chaotic week. The preseason is done. The regular season starts. Hockey is back, baby.
It's back. It's back. All right, so before we get into today's guest, next week we have Never Say Die Islanders Never Say Die with TJ and the grumpy old man. So we're going to see if we can get a little smile on the Grump's face next week. The second week, now they're going to talk about the Islanders. We're going to focus in there. The next week, we're going to talk with James Vallette. He's a writer and a journalist out of Toronto who has been driving some people crazy on Twitter recently. We'll talk about that a little bit at the end of the show with our new guest, too. All right. I think we're ready for today's guest.
We are. So let us introduce him. But before we do, is that grumpy old man a fisherman? Just wanted to know.
Well, he is an Islanders fan, so I'd assume so.
Awesome. Well, we've got our guest, Jamie Baskow, today, a longtime Philadelphia Flyer lover and passionate fan and an insider. Evan, why don't you tell us a little bit about our guest?
Well, this is a guest that I've enjoyed following on social media. He is not afraid to get in Twitter wars. He likes to have good conversation. And so definitely you need to follow him. He's going to give you all his hits. Just check the little links below to be able to check in. Jamie, welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on. It's a dedicated following you guys got. I mean, you guys are getting bigger and bigger, So, you know what? I'm honored and elated to be on your podcast. And thank you for, inviting me on for your dedicated following. It's pretty impressive, man. You got a heck of a room back there. Pavel, you got a heck of a room back there. My room is kids.
Well, I mean, you're saying we're growing, but I think here in Canada we're having our Thanksgiving. We just had it this past weekend, and I think I'm growing in terms of my stomach, just because the amount of pumpkin pie I've been eating. But go ahead.
So I just want to put a disclaimer in. So if you hear a bunch of kids yelling in the background, in the rest of my palatial studios here in my house, in my office and outside, I have like literally 11 grandchildren running everywhere all over the place with all my kids and stuff like that. So I just said, shut up, leave Papa alone. Well, Jamie, we got a few questions we'd love to ask you if you're ready for it. So just so everyone knows, I have not let Jamie know any of these questions. We might give him some hard ones. Some of them, I just looking at some of your stuff that you've been writing up on your social media and throwing out there on Twitter. And obviously, we're going to ask you a little bit later about some of your observations, training camp, some of the prospects. But let's hit on the NHL team. So I'm going to leave that.
I want to first ask Jamie tell us a little bit about your history, your passion for hockey. I know we were talking off air a little bit about it.
Yeah.
But what brought you on to loving the Philadelphia Flyers and NHL, and just in general the love of the game?
For the Philadelphia Flyers in particular, like we discussed, definitely Eric Lindros. I came in around that time. My dad was a huge Flyers fan, so I think I probably would have gravitated towards the Flyers hockey anyway. But I was around 10 or 11 when Lindros came to the Philadelphia Flyers, would via trade, obviously. And I was starting to play, street hockey and stuff like that. And I was like, huh, man. And seeing him throughout the first 5 to 10 games or so, I was like, I've never seen a dominant player like him personally. And I don't think that I hope we see another one like him, but it's going to be kind of hard to match what he was able to do. He had the physical. He was physical. He could smash players open ice, smash them into the boards. He had scoring abilities. He had the vision of the ice. He had the whole kit and caboodle. When you're talking about a hockey player, Lindros was it from top to bottom. And I don't think we'll ever see – I hope we do, but it's going to be kind of hard to match what Lindros was. But in terms of the overall NHL landscape, none other than the great one himself. You guys are very familiar with living in Edmonton. Wayne Gretzky is a phenomenal hockey player. Everybody knows Gretzky. When you're talking about Gretzky, then you go down to Brett Hull. And so, the whole laundry list. And Mario Lemieux, what a phenomenal player he was. And if it wasn't for Hodgkin's lymphoma, imagine what Mario Lemieux would have been, because he could only play in games, a handful of games a week, because of his situation, and he was a dominant player himself. So, overall, those three players in particular really gravitated me towards the sport of hockey, and everyone just tried to match what Wayne Gretzky was. That was your pedestal. Oh, I want to be the next great one. And, now, Sidney Crosby comes, and then after Crosby, Malkin comes, and then after Malkin, and look who comes now, Connor McDavid. And look at Connor McDavid. I mean, what a phenomenal hockey player. We want to talk about the next great one. If he puts his two-way game, which I think it will, he's a young man, right? We're talking about a young man here. He's still a kid, so he's still – figuring the sport out, figuring the game out, at the NHL level. The offensive abilities are there. The two-way game will come. I can tell you it will come. He's going to become a better backchecker. He's going to become a better defensive player. The guy, if you want to talk about the next great one, I think Connor McDavid would probably come close to eventually what Wayne Gretzky would be. Now, would he break all his records and goals? I mean, who's going to have another 220-point season? The only one I can think of right now is Connor McDavid. Who knows, right?
Maybe if they call cross-checking like they said they are in the preseason, maybe you can get 200 points.
I mean, it is what it is. It's going to take time to get used to. The one thing that I hate about, when the season ends is what type of new elements to the game that they're going to, implement, in the following season. Yeah. And they always gravitate towards penalties and stuff. And it confuses the refs. And then when the refs get confused, the fans get confused. It just creates chaos. Just keep the game the way it is. It was the greatest game on earth. There's no point in tinkering. And the NFL does it. And I understand why the NHL does it. It's because, they're trying to make the game more safer in an environment, for players. I get it. I understand it. But just some things can't be changed. Some things can't be taken out of sport. They're in the sport for a reason, in terms of, like, for instance, fighting. Am I an avid fighter? No. But do I mind seeing it on TV? Yeah. I want to see, it's kind of neat, to watch them fight. It's entertaining.
Exactly.
And it can really change the momentum of a game. And that's the one thing I think that gets misconstrued. Now, would I want, my star player, like, would I want Claude Giroux fighting? No, obviously not. You're taking them off the ice for 5 minutes. That would be in benefit of the opposition. Hey, I'm taking one of their great players off the ice. And I believe, I'm going to go off record here and say, if Claude Giroux played on another team, he would have a street named after him by now. So, and that's one thing. If he was in Edmonton, I guarantee they'd have a statue at the top of the building, but.
Well, Since we're talking about Claude Giroux, we're going to skip our question. We have question number 5 for you. We're going to move it. Pavel, go ahead and ask him about Claude Giroux.
All right. So Claude Giroux is going into his final year, playing one more year. He brings a lot to the team, the captaincy, the grind, the hustle that he's brought. The rivalry he's had with Crosby has been phenomenal over the last decade. Yeah. What are your thoughts? Does he re-sign in Philadelphia? Does he get moved by Fletcher by the trade deadline? Like, what are your thoughts? What are your inklings about that?
So the one thing is that what we have to take into account is a cap for next season. With players falling off and what Chuck Fletcher did this past offseason, he's actually set himself up quite nicely in the following season. He inked Joel Farabee early. He inked, one of the greats another great on the team in Sean Couturier. He inked him to find out exactly what they needed to spend to get Claude Giroux to resign, Rasmus Ristolainen to resign. They have approximately $15.5 million in cap space at the end of the season. Of course, that's at the end of the season. But I think that Claude Giroux will take a hometown discount. I don't think he'll pay. I don't think he'll make 8.25 like he's making now. I think he signs anywhere from 5.5 to 6, re-signs for 5.5 to 6. It's a no-brainer. The Claude Giroux is about 32 or 33 points away.
33.
Being the second best player in Flyers history.
Wow.
And he would overtake Bill Barber, of that. And Bill Barber is a phenomenal hockey player himself. I mean, what more can this guy do? He carries the team on his back. He doesn't have to do it right. He doesn't have to do it anymore. Now it's up to the young guns. Now he leaves his torch to Sean Couturier. He leaves his torch to Joel Farabee, who's up and coming. Travis Konechny could possibly take the next step, this year. Then they added a first shot mentality player in Cam Atkinson. What I wanted to see Claude. This was my ideal line going in, and I think AV at some point will lean towards it. I wanted to see Claude Giroux, Sean Couturier, and Cam Atkinson together because I can't remember the last time Claude Giroux had a first shoot mentality player. That player that I've seen like that would be Scott Hartnell. And, and he made Scott Hartnell, and so did Jaromir Jagr, with them three as a trio. But, I mean, we had to go back here. I can't remember. I can't even recall. And I'm being nice by even saying Scott Hartnell, to be honest.
Yeah.
It would be ideal. I want to see what it would be like for him to play with Cam. I think as time goes along, I think we'll eventually see it happen. I think you'll see the Claude Giroux, Sean Couturier, Cam Atkinson line. It's going to take time. But I think Konechny does rebound. I think that line's going to get, do well. I think they're going to have to break it up to separate, I think, and to balance out the lines eventually. But Claude Giroux is 100% going to resign.
Right. What do you think is going to resign for how many years?
By Chuck Fletcher in the locker room. When you're looking at him in his eyes and stuff like that, when you're talking about Fletcher, he's not deflecting, looking away when he's answering questions and stuff. And when you're looking at Claude Giroux, he's such a talented, but he's a leader. And when he's talking at the mic about his contract, he specifically said to us, I don't want to hear it again, this year.
Yeah, that's good.
That type of player, that type of caliber player, happens. That means he's already put to bed the rumors inside the room, whatever's going on. That's a has-been. He will resign in Philly. 100%.
How many years do you think he's going to resign, being age 33 right now?
I'd say 2 to 3. I think he probably his kid is young. And of course now he has a newborn.
Wow.
Yeah. So, he's going to want to see them grow up. But Gavin is starting to get used to this rink. Gavin's coming. Well, Ryan, his wife, she's very good. Let's give a kudos to her, because without her, Claude can't do what he's able to do. Right? He's got to have that and have that support and balance. And she does a great job with the kids and to bring them to the rink to see their dad. And Gavin, Claude has taken him to Voorhees, this year, more so than he's done in the past. Of course, he's able to walk. I think he's trying to get him implemented into the sport of hockey, into the game of hockey, showing him how he loves. But I think that in 2 or 3 years, you're probably going to see him start to play maybe some hockey. And I think then Claude's going to want to hang up his skates and want to see his kid, grow. And, so I think he re-signs for 2 to 3 years.
So
and I think that I say that may, because his training is impeccable. He does, what he does and take care of his body and stuff is different from what other veterans, other young players, I should say, have to do. He knows exactly his training regimen, but I think he's going to know when it's time to hang it up. I think ultimately he wants to win that elusive Stanley Cup to get that monkey off his back, because what happens is in the city of Philadelphia, they are very passionate fans. I love the fans of Philly. They're very smart and dedicated and passionate. The one thing that's always hindered Claude Giroux is that Stanley Cup. The one question people say, well, he doesn't have a cup. Well, how many players didn't win a Stanley Cup, It's like, Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl.
Exactly.
One of the best quarterbacks ever, in the NFL. So it is what it is. So I think ultimately he's going to want to raise that cup. And I wouldn't consider them a contender right now. I'm not sure. But, hopefully maybe some pieces at the deadline that they add, depending on where they're at, or, depending maybe next season even, because this was a busy offseason for Chuck, and next season will be too. But eventually they're going to have to come in and say, hey, we got to be contenders here, from the gate from the start.
So with that in mind, and, knowing your forward group is pretty strong, the two-parter question would be, how do you feel about defense bringing in Ristolainen, bringing in Ellis from Nashville, and then, of course, bringing in Jones from San Jose as a backup to help Carter Hart? So do you feel that defensively they'll be a little bit better? Because they struggled defensively last year. They were one of the worst teams defensively. They couldn't do it, but they could put the puck in the net. I mean, people complain about the Kevin Hayes deal, which I was questioning when it first signed it, but now, I mean, he's a great, very underrated top-line center. First line or second line, either or you can switch. I mean, will Morgan Frost take that next step? I hope so. I'm hoping he's the second line center, but, he's a solid third line guy. Fun fact about him, his dad was a broadcaster for the Toronto Maple Leafs, Andy Frost, but that's a side note. So what are your thoughts on the back end with everything that you guys have? You still have Seinheim. You traded away, what's his name, to Arizona. Yes. Yeah. And so what are your thoughts on there, and with Carter Hart, with what he brings, especially since he's from here, Edmonton, which we love?
Carter Hart is phenomenal. Carter Hart's a hell goaltender. He's very passionate and dedicated to the game. When you talk about a person like we were just talking about, in terms of their training regimens, you look at him, and when he answers questions, he's very stern, and he's when he's dialed in. Yes, that's it. This is what I do. This is what I do. I train with this person. I train with that person. He does. And I like how he trains with Tristan Jarry in the offseason, typically and stuff. I think that's kind of neat. Even though they play in the same division, I still think that's kind of neat and stuff. It's just neat to have that kind of mentorship, with Jarry, them two, growing up. It's neat. I like it. But I like that when you ask Carter Hart a question, he talks about his trainer and he talks about his goalie coach as well, that he has back at home in Alberta. Carter Hart will have a bounce back season. I am not concerned about Carter Hart at all. What I am concerned about is Martin Jones. I just don't. That is my big question mark, is the goaltending depth behind Carter Hart. And behind Carter Hart, you got Martin Jones, and you pick them. They're so young in terms of Felix Sandstrom, Samuel Ersson, and Kirill Ustimenko. Last year, I shouldn't just say last year. In previous years, you had Alex Lyon as your savior.
Right.
So you had that vet, come in, and he could sort of, right the ship, so to speak, if Carter Hart goes down. God forbid if Carter Hart goes down for an extended period of time. I don't know if Martin Jones can be the guy to right the ship there. Now, in his defense, Martin Jones deserves a chance to earn, his stripes again. If it wasn't for how he performed in 2016-17 with San Jose, in the Stanley, I don't think they would have made the Stanley Cup Finals that season.
Yeah.
the work that Martin Jones performed. So hopefully he can get back there. In terms of the defense, I think it will help Carter Hart and Martin Jones. I think the overall landscape of the defense is far better. You finally have a number one pairing in terms of Ryan Ellis and Ivan Provorov. And Provy can now learn from another veteran in Ellis to help shape him and mold his game. Those two are glued to the hip, and Ellis has said that. He wants to be everywhere Ivan Provorov is. That's where I want to be. I want to get to know him. I want the chemistry there for the first game. In terms of Sanheim and Ristolainen, I think that was our best, the Flyers' best defensive pairing, in the preseason. I think they played the most together because Provy and Ellis, I think they played in only 2 games together. Whereas Rasmus, Ristolainen, and Sanheim, I think they played in 3. And so that was a solid defensive pairing. And Yandel and Braun, those two are vets. Yandel comes in, he takes a stripe on the power play and takes over for where Shane Gothenberg gets moved to Arizona.
Right.
And now he's the quarterback of the power play. And the power play, the thing that scares me about the Flyers is the bigger picture. The bigger picture is special teams, in my opinion. The power play and the penalty kill. The penalty kill was bottom end last year. It was terrible, absolutely garbage. And, in the preseason, it didn't get much better. And we could use all the excuses we want, saying that they didn't have a regular lineup, they were using prospects. It doesn't matter. The fact is that they weren't very good. They were 8 for 20. They only killed off 12. They were successful 12 out of 20 times, which was a 60% success rate, for the penalty kill for the preseason. That is not very good. And like I said, every team thinks the same thing. Every team that they played, Boston at times didn't have their either. Washington at times didn't have their Class A team either. Who else did the Flyers play?
Carolina, Islanders, Rangers.
Islanders at times they didn't have their Class A players in either. So everyone in the preseason, every team faced the same thing. At times they had the regular lineup in, but at times it was a Class B lineup, where it's a makeshift lineup. It does not matter. The penalty kill should have been better than what it was.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, but they allowed 8 power play goals out of 20 chances. That is not very good. It's just not. So that is the thing I think that hinders the Flyers. And I say that because their division is so tough. With the New York, you got to peg them in. I don't know why they're not more respect than what they are. First off, Lou Lamoriello is a hell of a GM anyway. So,
I call it the Trotz. It's all coaching, man.
Crazy. I mean, it is insane. Barry Trotz is a phenomenal head coach. Look at that. He's a well-oiled machine. He has his people. They'll get down a few goals early, but they won't bend.
Yeah.
And they don't panic or nothing. They just continue to play their game. And what do? In the third period, they wear those teams down. Third period, they take it and they shove it and they score 4 or 5 goals in the third period. They take your game and shove it right down your throat because they fuck the heck out of you. It's relentless.
So let Jamie, let's go to Ristolainen. The reason is I'll get a lot of people asking this question because out of Buffalo, now you guys paid a lot for him in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a catch to it. You got to pay a price to get someone. That's the bottom line. They were able to free up the cap space. They were able to bring him in. Ristolainen, some people, I'm actually a believer in Ristolainen. I just think he had to get out of the Buffalo system. It's just like Hall was not Hall when he was in Buffalo. Skinner's not Skinner and he's in Buffalo. I hate it. It was just like going to Edmonton at one point in people's career, as much as we hate to say that happens. So question, just in your, you've been following the training camp. You've been watching the guys. You've been hearing what they're saying. What's Ristolainen like right now based on what you've heard? You've heard all the stories about him. What's he looking like to you from your analysis of it?
He's very composed in the locker room. He's very composed and he's taking command. He's taking the leadership role inside that locker room early. Just like Ryan Ellis, it's the players are really gravitating towards those two players in particular. And I don't know if it's because Risso's so tall and big and stuff that maybe he threatens them. I'm not sure, or whatever. But the players are really gravitating towards what they're saying, and him and Sanheim, and I think that's what helped, Travis Sanheim, and he's not much older than Sanheim because Ristolainen is only 26 years old, and I think Sanheim's only 25, so he's not much older, but he's got that veteran leadership mentality towards a younger Sanheim. So, but what I think is neat about Risto, and this is why I love going at obtaining him. First off, I was big on obtaining Ristolainen at the trade deadline this past trade deadline, and I knew that the Flyers would probably be out of it, and they were. But you just had that feeling, that overall sense that it was almost doomsday for the Flyers with the way things were going and stuff. But I thought that they could obtain Ristolainen in hopes of shoring up this offseason and not having to go out, and here they got him anyway. So, but the one thing that the Flyers have had trouble with in years past is clearing the porch. And that's something that Ristolainen does well. So wherever he makes his mistakes for his open ice gaffes or, different things and, blowing coverages, and looking for the big hit, which he does, but he hits. But he clears the porch in such a way to where he's able to wrap up Connor Sheary. For instance, in one preseason game, he wraps him up and prevents a second chance opportunity, which could have prevented a goal. And last year, if that same play happened, that would have been in the back of the Flyers' net. So not many beats said anything about it, but I did. And because that's one thing that's a knack on Ristolainen is his overall defense. And that was a very good defensive play. He didn't take a penalty, didn't do anything wrong. He wrapped up his player like he should and prevented a second chance opportunity on Carter Hart. So I think that people need to know about that. It had nothing to do with a massive hit. Then you have those where he takes a big hit, the puck goes to another player, and boom, he scores. It's one of those fluke plays. So, of course, that play happened, this preseason. What happened? People jumped down my throat. Said, look, did you see that? And I said, absolutely, I did. But that was one of those plays. I don't know if you guys remember a few years ago when Washington won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
We were
18.
Yeah. Hey, we remember Washington winning the Stanley Cup. Yeah. But I know you're talking about a play.
One specific play, and I forget the player's name because he's not on the team anymore.
Was it Niskanen who came over?
It began with a P. He had this massive hit. The puck went to Tom Wilson. Tom Wilson comes and scores down the other side of the ice, and that was sort of the same play that Ristolainen made in the preseason. It was Smith Pelly.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Devontae Smith Pelly.
Yeah, man, he could hit with the best of them as well, and he took out, man, very nice hit, clean hit. The puck goes right to Tom Wilson. What does he do? He comes down. He's so skilled. Tom Wilson's a hell of a hockey player. I'll tell you that. You want to talk about a Lindros that could possibly, if he is able to fine tune his game a little more or whatever, he could possibly be that guy. He's very talented offensively. He's got the physical tenacity. The thing is, today's day NHL, they don't like those hits.
Yeah.
And Devontae Smith-Pelly made a beautiful hit. Puck goes to Wilson, bang, back of the net. Up, it was tied at 2-1. Then the floodgates opened and they won.
Wow.
They beat the Vegas Golden Knights that game. It was 4 or 5-1. And it's something like that Ristolainen can do, to where Ristolainen can have this massive hit. The puck goes to Cam Atkinson, first shot mentality player, bang, down to score, bang, done. And that could be a game winner there. But of course, there are some that wouldn't talk about that particular hit making a good play. They would talk about it because of his he looked for the big hit and then the puck was here and he blew a coverage over there. So unfortunately, I think what's going to happen is in terms of Rasmus, I think he'll do well, but he will be unfortunately like Robert Haig, to where he's the whipping boy of the Philadelphia Flyers, because every mistake that Rasmus will make, there will be some that just are relentless in saying, oh, well, did you see that? Well, no, did you see those two great plays? So my response was, hey, did you see him wrap Connor Sheary up? And, of course, that ended that conversation because they didn't see that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like any player on any team in a hot market take a lot of scrutiny because fans either love him or hate him. Edmonton is no different. Toronto is a hotbed for that. Montreal has that. When Carey Price is hot or if he's not hot, what's he doing? With Toronto right now, there's a lot of pressure on Marner, even though he was one of the best scorers and point producers this last season in the shortened season. Edmonton has the same thing when somebody doesn't perform. Vancouver. So Philadelphia fans are just passionate, but I think he needed a change of scenery. I think both Evan and I agree. Like he needed to get out there. A lot of those players, whether it was Sam Reinhart going to Florida, I mean, we're hoping all the best for Eichel. I mean, whatever that comes of it, but we're liking what Philadelphia has lined up. Now, one of the things that we like is also the AHL affiliate. So do you want to share a little bit about how the Phantoms are doing? And what your expectations are if you're following them, anything or any rookies we should be keeping an eye out that may come up this season. Of course, injuries happen. Who should we keeping an eye on? Who should we watching out for? Personally, that 13th forward or 7th defenseman.
Yeah, so the Flyers just claimed Patrick Brown off waivers today from Vegas. I don't know if you saw that. So he is the 13th forward. Jackson Cates and Garrett Wilson went back to the Phantoms. But the Phantoms are 1-1 right now in the preseason. Yesterday they had a game, and Felix Sandstrom actually played well. They lost 4-3. I understand it. When you're looking on the surface, it's like, what the heck? Or 3-2, sorry. 3-2 they lost. And you're looking at it on the surface, and you're like, what the heck happened? It was a Class B lineup. There weren't many regulars in the lineup. There were only 6. To be honest, that's between the whole team, including the netminder and Felix Sandstrom. So 5 other players were. But some people to watch, of course, right off the bat is Morgan Frost. He has the biggest pressure. He has the most pressure out of the entire Flyers farm system. That includes overseas and stuff like that in the CHL. It's just how it is. People were expecting big things from Morgan Frost. He was considered one of the Flyers' top prospects in the system, and for good reason. I mean, the guy is super talented. He comes from the Sioux Greyhounds. You guys are familiar, of course, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And there isn't much that Morgan Frost can do. What he's gotten better at is his defense, and I think that's an underrated part of his game now. His defense is vastly improved. And now he's being utilized on a penalty kill, which I think is kind of neat. And, head coach Ian LaPerriere in developmental camp and rookie camp specifically said if he did come to the Phantoms, he will be utilized on a PK. And sure enough, he was in the first game. And Morgan Frost, to his effort, had 2 goals and 1 assist. Some other players to pay attention to are Samu Tuamala, who's a new rookie for the Flyers. Chuck Fletcher just grabbed him in this past draft. He's a sniper. The Flyers have needed a sniper for years, so enter Tyson Forrester as well. Tyson Forrester comes from the Barrie Colts, and I tell you, he had a really good year for the Phantoms this past season. He had 14 points in like 30 games played or something of that nature, 14 to 15 points. The guy really knew he racked it up. He was hurt for about the first month of the season. He was out with a leg injury. But he really came and really had a decent AHL season. So those 3 players in particular. Then you got your Isaac Ratcliffe. This is a huge, huge season for Isaac Ratcliffe. Isaac Ratcliffe comes from the Gulf Storm, but this is a massive season because we expected to see some physical part to his game, of course, to add in some offensive scoring ability. Some other players on the defensive side of the puck to watch. Igor Zamula, he is currently injured, but he's going to be sent back here shortly. According to the Flyers, he's 100% healthy. I think they're just trying to take it patient and trying to be, as patient as possible with him, knowing that he may play an integral part into the Flyers season. And another one, of course, Cam York was just cut today. Cam York made it right until the very end. Pretty much knew he wasn't going to make the team. But you know what? He got an extra look, and I find that kind of neat. The Flyers wanted to see. He could have went down there and played 2 games, for the preseason and stuff. But the Flyers wanted to see what they could have. Could he be a possible call-up or not, this coming season? Unfortunately, there are some that, unfortunately were hurt. Wade Allison is a big one. You know, like Wade Allison, I was expecting him to make the Flyers outright and not even go to the Phantoms. And now he may come back and do a conditioning stint with the Phantoms. So that's going to be kind of interesting to see. His timetable for return is sometime in December. He's got that high ankle sprain. It does at this point in time, it doesn't need surgery. But I wanted to see him, and I wanted to see Zadie Wisdom. You guys are probably familiar with Zadie. Comes from the Kingston Frontenacs. He played in the AHL this past season with the Flyers, and he really kicked some butt. But my eyes are on the first three I mentioned: Morgan Frost, Tyson Forster, Simu Tuamala, and then a few of the defensemen. Igor Zamula, Wyatt Wiley is another to keep an eye on. Wyatt Wiley is a phenomenal right-handed defenseman. He can play both right and left, and you saw him. He scored his first goal yesterday. Had a nice open ice pass, the night before he had an assist. But he blocked shots with the best of them, and I think that's what the Flyers need right now. He's an excellent penalty killer. And if one player can make it, it's definitely Wyatt Wiley because of his penalty-killing attributes that he brings to the team. He's not afraid to lay his body out to block a shot. He blocked a shot with his face last year and got hurt. He was out for a few weeks and stuff. He's like that Ian LaPerriere, Ian LaPerriere used to dive in pucks and stuff and block shots. Remember with his face even and stuff. But so he's another. But the goaltending is a big question for the Flyers. Will Kirill Ustimenko? Will it be Samuel Urson? Will it be Felix Sandstrom? Who's going to play with the Flyers? The Flyers affiliate, the Lehigh Valley Phantoms. Who's going to be? Of course, they signed that veteran backup, Pat Nagel, to a one-year AHL contract. So we'll have to see with him. But it's going to be an interesting year. But off the surface, aside from the AHL affiliate, there are a few players I would take a look at who don't play, in the AHL. Ethan Sampson is one of them. He plays for the Prince George Cougars. Mm-hmm. And I think that, he laid a very big hit this past weekend. He has a goal and 2 assists in 3 games for, played for the Cougars. I think that he deserves a look. And, there's some NCAA players like Bobby Brink, that deserves a look. I think that Jay O'Brien is entering a big season, for, Boston University there. If he doesn't have a good season, could they finally let him go? There's some guys that are going to need contracts like Connor McLennan. He plays for the Winnipeg Ice. You guys are very familiar with Winnipeg Ice.
I was going to ask you about him.
Oh, dude, what a great – he's goal scorer's dream. That's all he does is score goals. He's got 5 goals now in the season, for the Ice, and 2 assists in, 3 games played or something like that. Guy he got that knack, and the Flyers knew it. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, he put forth a good developmental camp, put forth a good rookie camp, and then in training camp, I don't know if he got tired or what. He just didn't – he didn't look like the same Connor. And I know because he's been playing a lot of hockey, and it's been a weird year, in terms of the pandemic and stuff. So I think overall that the tiredness maybe just got to him, in terms of playing with the big guys. Because now when you go to training camp, you're not just against your peers, that you could he's very skilled with people his age. But we're talking about men, AHL players, NHL players, and he's got to take that next step. And I think it was good for him to go back to Winnipeg so early, get fresh, go have a week at least to train, with your junior team, and then kill it. And you know what? The Flyers are very smart. Brent Flair and Chuck Fletcher, they did a good job with him and knowing that it's kind of weird. He needs a contract by June 1st of 2022. I don't know why so early, because he was drafted in 2020. 2 years later, he needs a contract, but that is the truth. That's per cap friendly. He needs a contract by June 1st of 2022. That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into that because that isn't for Norm, and he's not an import. Right. So
I do want to give a shout out also to Ron Hextall, because he did stock up the cupboards for you guys, and he did a lot of work in terms of gaining not only prospects but draft picks and stuff, which Chuck Fletcher took over. I know that Philly was a little impatient because they wanted to see a little bit of success. Understandable. The other thing I wanted to kind of note is that if they're still interested, Devin Dubnyk is still out there as an unsigned goalie. So if Jones doesn't work out, I think he'd be a good fit in Philly.
Well, as we're going to have to wrap up here in just a few minutes, so I'm going to give one last question to you here before we go, Jamie. Yeah. Just a side note, though. I know Edmonton, depending on what goes wrong, there's talk about Anton Khudobin if Dallas has an extra guy. Ooh. So that could also be a Philly option also, which would give them something solid that has playoff experience. And Philly has more room than Edmonton does, let's face it. When it comes to cap. So
I think they have 1.5 million left in cap space.
There's going to be a good price, I think, paid if they free up Khudobin in Dallas to somebody. Okay, let me give you this question. I saw you throw this out there. A couple people asked you why you think this maintenance stays, because you talked about the way it's looking like Ryan Ellis and Cam Atkinson, the way they play, you go, they're going to probably need some maintenance day throughout the year. So maybe if you can explain what you mean by some maintenance days, because I saw some people respond, maintenance day, they get paid, they got to practice. So maybe just explain your thoughts on that take.
So what I was trying to say is that they log some hard minutes. Like Ryan Ellis, he's not afraid to block shots, but he plays a ton of minutes. He's going to play anywhere in upwards of 26 to 30 minutes per game, because that's what Provy usually plays, is anywhere from 26 to 30 minutes per game. So when you're playing almost a half a game, each every other night, because that's what they're going to be playing, again, pretty much, 3 to 4 games per week. And so it's almost every other day. So when you're playing 30 minutes every other day, time, it gets to you. And you want them to be fresh for the playoffs. So the only way to be fresh for the playoffs, you don't want them to sit a game, but you want them, practice, make it optional. They don't have to come. They can have a maintenance day. And because they log hard minutes. Cam Atkinson, he blocks shots. He does everything. He plays the power play. He plays the penalty kills. So he's logging extra minutes there as well, on top of having bumps and bruises from blocking shots and laying and sacrificing his body, being physical, because he's a battler. He's a war battler.
Yeah.
Yes, he's first shot mentality, but he can skate, but he's not afraid to get in tussles either and get right in the mix of things. So those two players in particular are gonna need some maintenance days, just to stay fresh, in hopes of having an extended playoff run. It's just natural to do. You see Claude Giroux sometimes take a maintenance day from logging hard minutes. He's older. He's 32, 33 now. That's not old. I'm not saying that, but it's for the sport, you're more of a veteran, upscale veteran there.
Yeah.
And you're going to need some time, to stay fresh. So that's just what it is. And Sean Couturier, he plays in everything, every situation, known to man. I mean, if you want him to play on the roof, he'll play on the roof. If you want him to fly from the roof, try to block a shot, he'll do it. Sean Couturier is a winner. So he's going to need some maintenance days. So all a maintenance day is just a recovery day typically after a game. Now, when we're talking about multiple maintenance days, which is what a few players actually ensued, that to me showed that they had some type of lingering problem, whether it be some unfortunate like groin situations or big, Charlie horses, their legs, from getting into the mix of things and stuff. They could have some like unfortunate hamstring issues maybe, or something that needs an extra, day, to recover. I saw that this past week with the Flyers. That's very untypical for Flyers players. I don't know if every team, I can't speak on every team throughout the NHL, but it's very untypical of Flyers players to have multiple maintenance days. And that's what I saw last week. So to me, there was some type of like minor injury. And that's something like Carter Hart was dealing with. And AV alluded to that in his press conference. He said that Carter Hart had some minor bumps and bruises that he had to recover from. So he had multiple maintenance moves this past, week as well. So that means that they're doing good in training camp. That's what you want to see. If he has bumps and bruises, maybe they're pelting him, or doing something, and it may, and I know it's sad to say, but maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Like maybe even help the team. Moving forward, that means that they're practicing hard. So do you want them to practice soft now, or do you want them to practice hard in preparation of the upcoming season?
Exactly.
Friday?
I think
So,
I think players often like play hard no matter what. People
Yeah.
expect them to take it easy, but even during preseason, to them it means everything. Because young guns are trying to prove to them that I can be on the team, to the coach and to the GM saying, hey, I can be on this team, whether it's a Morgan
Yeah.
Frost or one of the other guys. And the veterans are trying to keep their positions and say, listen, I still can compete, right? So it sounds a little bit like load management, like they do in basketball, which you've seen oftentimes do.
Yep.
But it's just more common in basketball given the nature of the athleticism that is required versus what hockey is. So
Right.
that's pretty
Right. Absolutely correct. 100%.
So Jamie, can you tell all the everyone that's following right now, where can they follow you and catch up on all the stuff and your takes and your writing?
First off, I want to say thank you to all the Flyers fans, because without them, we wouldn't be here today. And I wouldn't be as where I'm at, in terms of this. I love all the Flyers fans. Your support is phenomenal. And I know all Flyers fans are very passionate. They just want a damn championship. And you know what? And I can tell you this, it's coming. It's coming. It may not be this year, it may not be next year, but it's coming. And I know that, if, in terms of impatience, it sucks saying, hey, how about next year or something? Well, you know what? This year ain't over yet. We don't know what's going to happen this year. There's teams that go in, and there's always this one team that goes in and is like, hey, they just turn out to win the championship or come close, So you can find us at flyersnittygritty.com, or you can find me at my Twitter handle at Jamie Basco. And I appreciate you allowing me to come on for your dedicated following. You and Pavel do a phenomenal job week in, week out. And be sure to follow these guys. These guys know some hockey. Anybody that lives in Canada knows the dang sport. Just remember that.
I just want to thank all you guys that are out there. Like, share, subscribe, continue.
All Canadians. Just want to say that your support, the Canadian support is insane. Can't believe it.
Well, and it's actually interesting, just as we've done our show, as we get more of our followers, and you guys know that are viewing this right now, it's just like, I'm just like, how the heck are we getting people from Thailand and China and Russia and Slovakia? I'm like, I think we have more of them. We're from Western Canada, and we're trying to not be so biased to the Western Canada, and getting out there. So, anyway, I see that Pavel, you guys can see he's wearing a Canuck jersey, one of the retros, just so you guys know. So someone on Twitter, James Villette out of Toronto, a writer in Lancer, he'll be on in 2 weeks. So he's actually got into something with Kurt Levens on Twitter in a Twitter war and got banned by our own local Cult of Hockey guy. So I'm going to have a good conversation in our chat with him in a couple of weeks.
We were fortunate. We're fortunate. We got Mike Mamito coming on our podcast
nice.
Next week.
Sweet. So when's the podcast? Just for everyone to know.
Tuesdays. So we usually record Tuesdays anywhere from so with kids, the timing is bad for me. They usually go on around 7:00, and my kids, they start running and ramming all the way up. They're 18 years old. 1 and 3. They're 18 now.
And
make sure you drop your podcast in our groups, because we want people to follow you, watch you, get more insight. We can launch all Flyers information. So if anybody wants to know anything Flyer related, inside and out, what Claude Giroux enjoys for breakfast and cereal, you're the man to tell us.
Grilled cheese.
So I was going to say, grilled cheese. I was going to say something really funny. You're talking about all these Flyers and how they're putting their bodies on the line, and I'm like, my God, half the team's going to need a maintenance days all year.
I'm telling you, don't tell Edmonton this, but if you hold up grilled cheeses, Claude Giroux won't score that night. I'll tell you that. He's had tons of grilled cheese in the stand. But this year, you know what? If Keith Yandel scores, anytime he scores, I'm throwing a salami on the ice.
Okay.
Oh, man. By the way, I'm not sure if it was you I found it from. Did you post the images for Carter Hart's new helmet?
Oh, yeah. So
yes.
One of my one of our great writers, Chris Mayer, is friends with the person that developed this helmet, Franny Drummond.
Great.
So when Chris was at a Nasty Knuckles event, Riley Cote's event, former flyer, Riley Cote was a journeyman and stuff. But when he was at one of his ball tournaments a few weeks ago, him and Franny happened to be there. And Franny, Chris and Franny talked, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to come over to my studio and check out, Carter Hart's, like new helmet and stuff?" And he was like, "Heck yeah!" So he went, took a video, had this nice video, talked to Franny. He's made some really good masks,
Wow.
Brian Elliott, he made, last year, but he made a really good one for Tuukka Rask. And it was unique because Tuukka, it was the first time ever he's lost 4 games in a row. So he got rid of the helmet. And he banned it. he thought it was the helmet. So there were some neat stories that came out from it. But it was pretty cool for him to get that experience and see Carter Hart's new mask in person. And hell of a mask, that he's got. I like Ghost Rider. He's very big into comics, and apparently his niche is golfing, comics, and guitar.
Marvel.
That's
guitar. I will say, I think this year, him and Markstrom out of Calgary got the top 2 face painted helmets. So if you guys haven't checked them out, go online, try to find it and search it. Good shot.
Carter Hart is going to have a bounce back season, everyone. Just calm down. Trust me, he's a young goaltender. He's only 23 years old. But he will have a bounce back season.
Yeah.
You heard it from me.
And he resigned this offseason too.
Huh? What'd you say?
Carter Hart, didn't he resign this offseason?
Yes, he did. Yep.
Yeah, that was one of the big signings to have approved me. I think a 3-year, $5 million, if I recall.
He's 3.79.
Yeah, it's something around there. But he's going to
3 years.
He's going to have a bounce back year.
Great.
It's just inevitable. The guy is too talented, and you know what? For all those, and there aren't many, but for all those that are doubting, whether he does, put it to rest now. The guy is going to be lights out when the season starts. It is. He is.
Well, thanks again. So you know what? As we always say with our show, we're about to end, and then we are about to end, and then we're about to end. So this time, I want to say thanks, Jamie, for joining us. Thank you to my co-host, Pavel. And I want to say, in the meantime and in between time,
keep your sticks on the ice.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers.